and welcome to my channel Inspiring Life Changes. My name's Colette and I'm here today to do a reading for the collective for this Virgo super full moon that's taking place at 19 degrees and 36 seconds, and it's happening in the UK time at, let me just check, sorry, at 5:47. So I'm not sure what the time is now, but it could be happening fairly soon. And I'd just like to make a quick apology for not having done any videos over the last couple of weeks. I have been really full on busy with other things. One of the things is the video I'm working on to do with Black Moon Lilith and the Chiron conjunction that's taking place as well. So that should be out hopefully. I'm still trying to work out how I'm going to do it, because I think it's going to be an incredibly long video if I do all of the things that I was hoping to do. So it's taken quite a lot of research and looking into the whole mythology behind both Chiron and Black Moon Lilith, as well as Aries as well, which I will also be including because Aries is at the end of Aries, and both Chiron and Black Moon Lilith are conjunct for the whole of March through to April, also in Aries, but they're at the beginning of Aries. So it's an interesting time for Aries energy at this moment in time. But today we're focusing on the full moon that's taking place in Virgo. But because the moon is in Virgo, its opposite, the sun, is in Pisces. And what's taking place today at the same time as this full moon is a conjunction of Neptune and the sun together. So that is also kind of highlighting the whole Piscean energy as well. So there's a big Piscean Neptunian kind of energy at play within this full moon, even though the full moon is in the sign of Virgo, which is kind of much more of an earth sign, even though it's ruled by Mercury, which is much more to do with the head. And I think in our logic, and Mercury has been retrograde in Pisces for the last 2-3 weeks, although it has now just moved into Aquarius. So it's at 28 degrees Aquarius at this moment in time. So it's not quite as bad as it has been. Our kind of thinking logical process has been put back online, so to speak. And we don't feel as though we're kind of swimming in this sea of kind of fogginess and not really knowing what's going on in our lives quite so much. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown, like I always do, of the astrology that's taking place at this moment in time. You have to excuse me, I've got a bit of a itchy nose. I always seem to get an itchy nose when I do these videos. I think it's something to do with my sage burning and also to do with my actual kind of channeling of things as well. I've always had that same issue. So this, like I was saying, the main focus is on Pisces energy at this moment in time, and the Pisces energy 12th house is kind of asking us to trust and surrender to whatever it is that's coming up for us at the moment, because it's kind of saying that we don't really know what's going to happen, but we have a feeling, we have this really strong kind of instinct, if you like, this kind of knowing, this kind of real deeper intuitive understanding that something is happening or something is about to happen, that things are changing, things are shifting. And we know this on a deeper subconscious level, which is kind of in the tarot, this would relate to the High Priestess energy more than any other energy. I would say that the High Priestess is kind of this deeper subconscious Pisces understanding of things. And so and because of this energy, because of this kind of Neptunian energy, and because we've had this Mercury retrograde for the last kind of 3 weeks, there's a side of us that kind of wants to ignore the reality of the life, if you like. We want to kind of just, it's almost like being lulled in a boat, like on a on an ocean, just kind of hearing the waves lapping on the side of the boat and just drifting off into this kind of meditative state of being, and just kind of relaxing and just kind of like, you know, letting the world drift by, and what's going to happen is going to happen kind of attitude is kind of quite easy for us to fall into. But this full moon, because it's in Virgo, is kind of tugging us back and saying, no, this is the earth realm, this is the reality, this is your body, this is what you have to be aware of. And it can bring up things like nutrition, it can bring up things like health, it can bring up things like the big virus that's happening out there at this moment. And because also Neptune has a lot to do with illusion and deception and things that aren't always what they appear to be with Neptune, especially when it's conjunct the Sun, because the Sun is kind of highlighting all those issues as well. And also it's been making sextiles over to Jupiter, so Jupiter has been kind of boosting that energy as well, kind of making it all seem bigger, larger than life. So there could be aspects of that. So on this full moon we could see that things are going to kind of take a shift and kind of come back into a place of reality, rather than this kind of nebulous kind of how can you put it, nebulous kind of it could be this, it might not be, it could be, you know, this kind of energy of we don't really know exactly. But so yeah, so Virgo is our day-to-day doing of things as well, because it's the earth realm, and Virgo is all about how we manage our lives, how we kind of put things together. Virgos are very kind of particular. They like things in a certain way. So there can be a cleaning out, there can be a clearing, there can be, this could kind of bring on a good time for clearing out clutter and getting rid of stuff that we no longer need, even possibly an overhaul of our physical bodies as well. Good time for detoxing, a good time for kind of really saying, right, okay, I'm going to, before the spring moves in, I'm going to really kind of take hold of my own health, if you like, and actually do something for this coming spring, so that you're feeling healthier, you're feeling fitter. Your diet, possibly you could be looking at your diet and thinking, oh, you know, what can I change food wise that maybe isn't so good for me. So all those kind of things could be coming up on this full moon as well. So where are we? Yeah, putting us back down to ground, like I said, with a bump. So although we want to be out there and kind of dreaming and kind of like just floating away, the Virgo full moon is saying, no, come back down to earth. And it's also about solving problems as well, Virgo. Virgos like to see the detail. They like the details. They're very analytical. They like to really look at things. They like to really work things out precisely, very precisely. So there could be aspects here of where situations that we've been stuck in, things that have kind of not moved on for us for some time, with this full moon, we're going to start seeing solutions and start seeing a way of solving those problems, so that we're no longer stuck in this energy of kind of feeling that we should, but we don't know whether it's the right thing to do or not. And again, the kind of the Mercury retrograde and the Neptune Piscean energies kind of is an energy of kind of ignoring it, or kind of trying to put it in the background, this Virgo full moon is saying, no, like, you know, you've got to, like, a bit like with a microscope, really. If you think Virgo preciseness, it's kind of like time to get the microscope out, or the magnifying glass, and kind of really look at it and really kind of see it in a whole picture way, rather than just kind of the little little bits and pieces of it, or like I was saying, just completely ignoring it, which Pisces has that ability to do as well, is just to kind of like, you know, oh, it'll be fine, it will work itself out. So the full moon is saying no more of that, no more. It's time for us to really kind of analyze these things and really kind of take stock and see the solutions, find the problems and move on with them. And this is going to be happening over the next 2 weeks, because the full moon will last, the energy of the full moon will last from today up until the new moon energy, which is taking place in Aries on the 24th of March. So at the same time, as I was saying, as the full moon, Mercury will station direct. So today is a big day for kind of Virgo Mercury energy, because Mercury is the ruler of Virgo, and Mercury is all about the mind and the way that we think and the way that we do things. And it has been going through Pisces, like I said, but it's stationing direct in Aquarius at 28 degrees. And so this is also going to be able to help us solve the problems that we've been stuck in, and not being able to see an answer, a solution, everything kind of being blurred, having no kind of, in a way, no kind of edges to things. Everything kind of just has been blended together, and there's been no kind of, how can I put it, no kind of edges in a way, no definition. Nothing there you can say, right, this is this and this is this, which is very Virgo and very Mercury. Mercury likes to have things very precise, as does Virgo. So, and Aquarius is also an element of air. So Mercury is really at home and happy in Aquarius, because they both relate to the kind of logical thinking, the mind. So it's kind of like a breath of fresh air for Mercury. It's like all of a sudden it's been able to kind of see things a lot clearer and be able to kind of work things out in a way that it can't do during the time when it's in Pisces. When it's in Pisces, it's all about the inner understanding, the kind of intuition, the deeper knowing, the trusting those feelings and those instincts. But because we're kind of not in a way brought up to do that, we are much more of the mind, of the logical idea of things. We kind of have to have facts before we will trust what we're seeing or what we're feeling, to kind of analyze it and understand it. So there is a bigger picture here as well, which Mercury is beginning to realize and kind of seeing and saying, right, okay, there's clarity here. The sun is helping to illuminate the situation, and it's bringing a clearer insight into whatever has been keeping you stuck in the last kind of 2-3 weeks. And also at the same time, we have Chiron. And Chiron is also the ruler of Virgo as well. So there is a lot of kind of energy pulling us back down to earth. There is a lot of kind of day-to-day energy, kind of doing things in a particular style, in a particular fashion, in a kind of methodical, seeing things much more methodically now. And Chiron is at home. Sorry, Chiron is the ruler of, and Chiron at this time is actually conjunct with Black Moon Lilith, which is the video that I am actually working on at the moment, which I've been doing the research on as well. So Black Moon Lilith, just very quickly, is not an actual entity. It's not a planet. It's not a body, a physical body. Black Moon Lilith is a point in the sky, and it is what's known as apogee. And apogee is when the moon is furthest away from the earth. It's the point that is furthest away, and that is known as Black Moon Lilith, that dark point, the kind of mysterious, the unknown realm of where we kind of don't ever get to see, because it's on the other side of the moon always. And so that point at this moment in time is conjunct Chiron, because it moves constantly. But interestingly enough as well, at the moment, this full moon, known as the super full moon, is at one of its closest points to the Earth as well. I've spoken about the full moon, the new moon that's going to be happening at the end of March. And so with the Black Moon Lilith and the Chiron aspect, which is one of the reasons that I really want to do a video on this energy by itself, there is a lot of healing that's taking place here. There's a lot of healing of the psyche. There's a lot of healing of past wounds. There's a lot of things that are going to be coming up for us to do with the kind of Aries, Aryan, masculine kind of energy. And Black Moon Lilith, when I explain who she actually is represented as, she's actually represented as a demon, and she's represented as the feminine kind of real dark, negative side of the feminine psyche, the side of the feminine psyche that the human race has kind of turned into something very dark and sinister, and we don't want to look at it, we don't want to go there, we don't want to admit that it's there. But it's also a part that's in everybody on the planet. It's not just women that have this Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith is within everybody's chart at some point, and the energy of Black Moon Lilith is also within the masculine as well. But I will go into the energy of Black Moon Lilith at a later date in another video. But suffice it to say that the energies that are being brought up by Chiron at this moment for healing is very strongly to do with the feminine role that has been kind of put out there, to do with the kind of the witch, the evil hag, the demoness, the succubus, all that kind of negative feminine energy. What else have we got here? Okay, so moving on, we have still this stellium that's happening in Capricorn, with Mars at 15 degrees, Jupiter at 21 degrees, Pluto's at 24 degrees, and Saturn is at 28 degrees. So Saturn, 29 degrees really, because it's 28 and 58 seconds. So it is basically 29 degrees. So Saturn is really close to moving out of Capricorn at long last and into Aquarius, which again will be a huge shift, and this will be taking place over the next couple of weeks. So throughout March we also have Jupiter and Pluto getting closer and closer to an exact conjunction that will be taking place in the last 2 weeks of March as well, and that will be long lasting into April. So as Saturn moves out of Capricorn, Jupiter and Pluto are going to conjunct, and this conjunction is also going to be taking place 3 times this year as well. So this is kind of another kind of major shifting energy of getting the kind of stagnant history. I like to feel it's the kind of the energy of the history of the planet kind of shifting and moving and kind of saying, right, you know, we've been in this period of time for so long, because the conjunction that took place with Saturn and Pluto together in January, the last time that happened was 500 years ago. So we're going back to a period of history in our time that was completely different to how it is today, but we have been kind of in a way living through that time from when they last came together, has kind of if you like written the story for up to the present time in January when these two came together. So it's like the culmination, that was the culmination. So the shifting that's taking place with this Pluto and Jupiter energy is going to be kind of very, I kind of see it as resonating out, long lasting resonating energy that's just going to keep shifting things and kind of, because Jupiter's very kind of expansive and very kind of spiritually orientated, and it brings in a new way of looking at things in many ways as well. And so at this full moon, both Pluto and Jupiter are going to be giving the full moon a good boost, because they're both trining Virgo as well. So they're trining the Virgo full moon, so they're kind of supporting it and giving it a boost. And of course the moon is also about our emotions as well, so it's kind of saying, you know, that they're kind of clearing out, I feel, in a way as well, that is taking place, the solutions, the emotions that are going to be coming up. And of course Pisces is a very emotional sign as well, so the Sun and Neptune together, there could be a lot of clearing out of emotional baggage that we no longer need to carry around with us as well. And so as the Sun moves forward over the next few days, it is going to make an exact sextile to Jupiter, and sextiles are good kind of energy, supportive energy. So the Sun is going to be giving Jupiter its support, and Jupiter is going to be giving the Sun its support as well. And this means that it will add more insight and confirmation to the decisions that are being made today from the new moon, from the full moon onwards. And it will then sextile directly with Pluto at 24 degrees over the few days afterwards, which will be like an unblocking of a sink, I feel, somehow. It's almost like something is going to be kind of an energy, I forget, this energy of something being unblocked, something kind of that's been there for a long time, kind of festering in a way, is going to be suddenly like released, suddenly kind of like just that kind of energy of sucking something down that no longer needs to be there, whether this is collectively or individually as well. But it's kind of a clearing process. So whatever the stuck energy has been, Capricorn and Pluto has kind of a very stuck, kind of dark, negative kind of energy about it. But of course Pluto is also about death and rebirth and kind of the phoenix coming out of the ashes as well. So it's going to begin to drain away whatever that energy is. It's going to, and I feel like the Virgo full moon is kind of cleansing that somehow. It's kind of a clearing kind of energy here. And the mind is going to be kind of recharged and ready to kind of tackle the problems with new solutions. I also feel it as well as a bit like lifting an anchor that's kind of been keeping us down, this anchor that's been holding us in place for so long now. The kind of, again, I think this is to do with the Capricorn, Saturn, Pluto, 500 years ago kind of energy that has been kind of very solid and very kind of keeping us in that energy of that time period, in a way that everything that has happened now in our history is kind of, you can go back to a certain point and you can see where those changes evolved and how things have got to the point where we're at now. But now is also the time to kind of clear that energy out collectively as well, historically, and to move forward and say, you know, we no longer have to live from that kind of period of time, if you like. Particularly if you think of the kind of the feudal systems, the kind of hierarchy as well, because Capricorn is all about hierarchy and keeping things kind of in place and kind of restricted and controlled. And that is all kind of being broken down slowly, and it will be happening especially over 2020 with these conjunctions that are going to be taking place with Jupiter and Pluto as well. So yeah, like lifting an anchor that has been heavily weighing us down, and also wearing us down as well, this kind of heaviness of kind of having to do the same thing day in, day out, the kind of responsibilities, the kind of family kind of responsibilities as well, I feel, in some way as well, to do with this kind of how can you put it, this kind of legacy, in a way, of like, you know, you have to follow in the footsteps of, even though you may not want to. But say, take farmers for instance, like, you know, they had to follow in the farmers, their fathers' footsteps, or their granddads, or their uncles, or, you know, there was kind of this tradition, and Capricorn is all about tradition. So this is kind of a breakthrough from that as well. It's kind of saying we no longer have to live by tradition in a certain kind of way. We no longer have to tie ourselves down to tradition. Not that all tradition is bad, but tradition can become like an anchor, like a weight around your neck. And so I feel that there's a kind of lifting in some way of that anchor. And the ship kind of, for me, is always a metaphor for life as well. So it's going to be able to be steered back on course as well with this full moon. It's almost like we're going to be able to kind of shift our future somehow. So the course that we have been on, and the direction that we have been kind of being forced to go in, if you like, up until this point, is actually going to take a shift and be able to move towards a kind of a different timeline shift, a kind of different future. We can kind of say, right, okay, that's enough. We can steer this boat in a different direction, change our destination, change our future. And day by day we head towards a new spiritual transformation, which very much spiritual with the Jupiter and Pluto conjunction. Transformation is Pluto. Pluto's all about transformation. Jupiter's all about the spiritual, the bigger picture. So it's kind of that combination of kind of slowly kind of heading in the direction of something completely new, something completely transformative. And this is all going to begin at the end of March, but it is going to continue over the whole of 2020, like I said, because we're having this aspect happen 3 times. And it is a slow process because it's in Capricorn, and Capricorn is always slow, but it's a process that's going to be long lasting. It's going to literally, it's kind of reverberating out, a bit like, you know, when you throw a pebble into a still pond and you can see the ripples kind of come out. It's that kind of energy of kind of slowly, yeah, it will kind of hit each point as it goes through 2020. And so we also have Venus at 5 degrees and Uranus at 4 degrees and 3 seconds in 3 minutes in Taurus, and they are conjunct as well. So there's quite a lot of different conjunctions happening all at the same time of this full moon, which is very interesting energy. The exact conjunction of Venus and Uranus takes place a few days previous to this, or a day, I think it was possibly yesterday or the day before. Yesterday. But the energy today is still very strong as well. So while the full moon is happening, this energy is very strong. And it's an energy almost like a spark of realization, spark being Uranus, electricity, kind of lightning, kind of buzz type energy, kind of flash of inspiration, an idea, knowing something new, something different coming out of the blue. And it's to do with what we believe we are worthy of. Venus, our value, our worth. What are we worth? As an individual, what is valuable to us? What are we valuable to? And it's also about kind of realizing that we maybe have stopped ourselves from receiving what we deserve, because up until now we don't believe that we do deserve. So again, this is a kind of shift of perspective, a kind of transformation that's taking place here in our understanding of our individual self-worth. And it can be to do with money, it can be to do with relationships, love, environment, care of our physical needs, our wants, our desires. How do we allow ourselves to receive what we want and what we desire? Do we allow ourselves to receive what we want and what we desire, or do we block it because there is this feeling that we are not worthy of having it? But this conjunction with Venus and Uranus is kind of bringing that up. It's bringing that to light. It's kind of almost like, again, a kind of spark or kind of something that's going to shift it. It's kind of a bang kind of energy, a kind of lightning bolt out of the blue that's going to stop that from reoccurring in many ways, to get us off that wheel, if you like, of constant kind of belief that we are not worthy enough of whatever it is that we want in our lives. So yes, it's saying, have we limited ourselves in being able to receive something, whether that's our happiness, which it will be, whichever way that comes, whether it's money, physical things that make you happy, whether it's a relationship, whether it's love. We all have things that make us happy. And so we can limit our happiness, but Uranus is now kind of unchaining us from our limited beliefs of what we do and don't deserve to have. And like I said, it's kind of a lightning striking at our self-bondage in many ways. It's kind of things that we've kind of bonded ourselves down to, which is also kind of a Capricorn energy as well, this kind of bondage to what we believe should be and what we've been told should be, and how we've been brought up to not value who we are as individuals. So in the tarot, this is kind of like a tower moment in many ways. It's kind of a collapsing of those kind of ideas, if you like, and it's a freeing moment, because Uranus is all about freedom and releasing and letting things move and change, and it's innovative and it's kind of out of the box way of thinking, which is possibly also because Uranus is higher mind as well, and we've also got this Mercury energy going on as well. So there's a lot of mind energy that's being activated here. And so Uranus is also semi-sextile the North Node in Cancer, and it's trining the South Node in Capricorn, both at 4 degrees and 35 minutes at this moment. Again, Uranus is freeing us from the past bondage of all the heavy Capricorn energy. South Node being in Capricorn, this is all about the karmic clearing out of the things that we no longer need in our lives. To do with establishment, to do with governance, to do with restriction. This literally is the breaking down and breaking out of our self-imposed prisons. That through fear of owning our responsibilities, which is why we kind of let other people do it for us, because we kind of have been brought up to believe that we're not responsible enough, or we're not capable enough, that we're kind of not smart enough, strong enough, pretty enough, whatever. But there's this kind of constant fear, if you like, that taking control of your own life and taking responsibility for your own actions is not a good thing. This is kind of how we've been brought up to believe. And this is what the South Node is all about in Capricorn. It's kind of clearing out. Again, it's that 500-year clearing out of all that stuff of kind of relying on other people, looking for somebody else to kind of be our power system and our structure and our kind of even our teachers as well, so that we kind of don't look within for our own understanding and our own learning. And this is the Piscean energy as well, kind of looking within and trusting your subconscious and your deeper knowing, which is also where the North Node in Cancer comes in as well, because Cancer is also about the kind of intuitive understanding, feeling, caring energy. And the North Node is where we are heading towards, whereas the South Node is what we are releasing and letting go of. And the nodes are going to shift very soon as well. So the nodes are going to move from Cancer into Gemini and from Capricorn into Sagittarius. So again, that will be a completely different energy that will be around in the from about, I think it's May onwards. So at the same time as Uranus is trining the South Node, we also have Venus trining the South Node as well. So Venus is kind of saying that Venus is helping us and supporting us to see the value of ourselves, our own ability to rebuild something beautiful from the rubble of the ongoing destruction of the excavation that's taking place within Capricorn, because Capricorn has really, with all these planets that have been there for, well, Pluto's been there since 2008, kind of slowly drilling away and kind of, what's the word, kind of digging down, really deep down into the kind of Capricorn psyche, if you like, of all those things that are very Capricornian energies. And so I was talking about governance, establishment, etc., etc. So all those planets together that are there now, we've got Mars, Jupiter, Saturn and Pluto all still there, and they're kind of changing that whole energy, if you like, with the South Node there as well. It's kind of a bit like having the builders in, and it's kind of time to revamp and kind of time to redecorate and kind of shift walls and knock things down and kind of completely open up the space is really what's going on in Capricorn at the moment, that Capricornian energy. And so, as I was saying, with the Venus energy there as well, it's saying that, you know, something beautiful can come out of this if we look at the rubble that's kind of left there, the Phoenix energy that can arise from this with the Plutonian kind of rebirth that's taking place, the transformation within us all. So Uranus in Taurus is sextiling the North Node in Cancer, and that's steering our ship towards the true North Star with flashes of insights and changes which may be unexpected. We are being forced to look at life from an understanding of where is our home, which is Cancer energy. And with Venus also making a sextile to the North Node, it's also asking us, where do we find comfort? With whom or what do we want to build a better future with, which we can love and value? Instinctually and intuitively know we are doing the right thing as it feels so good to us. So the more that we do it, the more we want to do it because it feels really good. Not like at this present time where we kind of feel that we're having to do these things because it's a kind of tradition again, if you like. Venus in Taurus, our bodies feel it deeply and we steer our ship in that direction towards a loving, caring, trusting in something much bigger than us and our future and into the future. So trust with something that's so much bigger. And I was going to add something else to that also. Of course, with Uranus in Taurus, we are also talking second house energy as well, of change in the kind of financial system that's taking place at this moment in time as well. Uranus is going to completely change the way that we financially, how can you put it, the way that we financially connect with each other, or the way that we do business with each other. It's very environmental changes. It's very Tauri and all the Taurus things of kind of taking care of our planet. It's all coming up to the kind of into the psyche, the collective psyche at the moment. Uranus is kind of going to keep bringing it up because Uranus is going to be there for quite some time, and Uranus is getting ready, in fact, to retrograde as well. So Uranus will be having a retrograde over this coming 6 months. So I know we'll be talking more about that in another reading, but right now time is getting on and I'm really going to have to shift quickly through this because I didn't think I was going to spend that much time doing that astrology reading, but obviously I needed to. So at the very heart of this reading today, this Virgo full moon, we have the Page of Pentacles, and we have, this is a kind of Virgo earth energy, and it's in reverse here. So for me, this is the kind of full moon being pulled back, our energy being pulled back into our bodies. This is what we're having to look at, but we may not particularly want to because it's in reverse as well. There's this feeling of, on some level, I feel that this is the kind of literally the opposition with the Pisces energy, because what we really want to do is just have some fun. We just want to kind of let it all go, just kind of ignore the reality of life, if you like, kind of ignore what we really need to look at and really kind of bring down to earth. We'd much rather be in the Neptunian, Piscean, kind of just floating by, allowing things to just kind of take place, rather than actually having to feel that we have to take the responsibility here. The Page of Pentacles is a young energy, so it's an energy that needs to be nurtured, it needs to mature, and it may not want to, because who really wants to grow up? There's that kind of sense of this as well. It's kind of like it's too much responsibility. I don't want to grow up. I want to stay in this energy. I want to kind of just be able to be childlike and just play. There's an element of the child here, the child that just wants to kind of have the time to play, have the time to kind of enjoy what it's doing. And we have over the top of this energy, the card and the energy that is our challenge at this moment in time is the Patience card, also known as Temperance. And Temperance, for me, only ever exists within a relationship, and that doesn't have to be a intimate relationship. It can be a relationship of any type whatsoever. And Temperance is all about kind of the flow of energy from one person to another. It's that understanding. In a way, it's that understanding of, like, also to do with this, that we have to grow up. There's an understanding here that we can't kind of turn back the time. We can't kind of change things from the past, but we can change things from into the future. And I think that's what this card is saying here, that it's time for us to take responsibility. It's time for us to, on an individual level, grow up and take back our own power, if you like, very Pluto energy. Take back our responsibilities, take back our ability to be able to do the things for ourselves that we need to do without kind of expecting other people to do it for us. Patience is all about the time. If you see here, there's literally clocks all over the place in this card. There's about 2 or 3 different clocks here. And you know what, it's interesting because she's kind of looking away as well. So to me, she's kind of looking into the future. And she's kind of saying, the decisions that we make now are going to make a difference in our future. The way that we act, the way that we think, the way that we behave, the decisions that we make from today will affect whatever, because every decision that we make has a knock-on effect with everything else. And it came out with three other cards as well, which I will quickly read through. We have the Four of Pentacles here, which is saying that at this moment in time there's an energy of being, this is possibly the stuck energy that I was talking about as well, this kind of, because this is about holding on to something. This is about us not wanting to take that responsibility. This is about us kind of wanting to stay in an energy of kind of like, you know, I know what it's like kind of energy. Do you understand what I mean? It's kind of in a position of you don't want that change. You don't want things to change, because change means a new way of looking at things. Change means growing up. Change means responsibility. Change means you have to make decisions. And I think there's a big thing here about decisions coming through. And it comes out also with the Eight of Wands here. And the Eight of Wands is this kind of, again, this playful energy, this kind of wanting to be able to just, again, I get this kind of Piscean feeling here of kind of drifting off on this boat and just kind of ignoring the reality, ignoring the day-to-day life, ignoring the changes that are happening around us, even kind of just blanking things out. It's kind of wanting to just blank it, just like not acknowledge it, not kind of be a part of it, kind of just focus on your own day-to-day existence, if you like. But that's not working. It's not working because it's all in reverse. So it's kind of saying to me that, you know, we've done this over time. Over time, we've repeated the same pattern and the same stories over and over again, and we'll keep repeating them, and it's kind of not getting us anywhere further down the road, if you like. Because this boat, which represents life to me, is kind of in reverse. It means that it's kind of stuck. The anchor hasn't been pulled up. It looks as though it needs to move forward, but it can't move forward. When it's in reverse, it's all about this energy of things not being dealt with. And the last card that came out with these three is the Magician. And the Magician is upright and is saying that we need to, I feel, take responsibility. I think that this is what the Magician is saying today, is that this is about responsibility. This is about us standing at the crossroads of our lives. This is about new pathways opening up, and whether or not we're going to take these new roads. In this card, he has all his tools that he's prepared. So he's got his cup of emotions, which is what you need when you're kind of putting your energy into something. You need to feel that it's the right thing to be doing. Like I was saying, you know, it feels good, so you want to do it more because it feels so good. The sword here represents the intellect, the mind, the decisions, the kind of knowing that you're on the right track. The Caduceus is the creative energy, the fire, the spark, the inspiration, the passion that you bring into it. And the Pentacles is all about the actual physical realm, actually manifesting it, which is what this Magician is about. He's got his arm pointed up and he's got his arm pointed down because he's bringing that energy of the creative source, if you like, down into the ground, down into the earth realm, into the physical reality, and creating a new future. Something new, manifesting something different than the story that we have been repeating over and over again. So it's time to become unstuck. It's time to unblock ourselves from this constant kind of time, if you like, of past, living in the past in some ways. Living in the past. That's kind of what I'm getting from this, is living in the past energy. We have to stop living in the past. And what we have above, and what's in our head at this moment in time, is the upside down Hierophant. And the Hierophant, for me, again, in this particular deck especially, although in the Mythic Tarot as well, I would say the same thing. The Hierophant for me is about commitment, but it's also about a sense of our own spirituality. It's a sense of we own our spirituality. It's about not being how can you put it? Not being traditional, not being fixed in our way of belief, in the ways that we have been told, because it's in our head and because it's what we're aware of. There's almost a kind of understanding here that something needs to shift, we need to kind of break free, I feel. The Hierophant for most people is related to the Taurus energy, but for me the Hierophant is always related, I feel, to Sagittarius energy, and I feel it much more as a kind of individual energy of our own faith, our own understanding, what feels right for us on an individual level, rather than following the crowd, rather than following the masses. So there's a need for breaking through here again, which could also have something to do with this energy here, is breaking through from the past, from no longer being tied down to the kind of beliefs and the traditions and the kind of time that has held us in place, if you like, the way that kind of over time our history has transformed us into something that if we try to break free from it, in a way we are told that we're wrong, we're evil, it's kind of non-conforming energy for me, the Hierophant. It's kind of an energy, especially when it's upside down, it's kind of saying to me that there's this need to again create something new. It's very similar, I think, to the Magician, the way that she kind of is standing at this altar and she's got all her things here that she needs as well, and kind of the pen here represents the sword, if you like, the pen being mightier than the sword, the fire energy here, the cup energy, the physical. There's also rings over here on the side as well, and rings can represent a completion of things as well as a marriage of something. So this to me is about a non-traditional spiritual outlook on life. It's about our own views, our own feelings on God, the universe, spirituality, it's kind of like quantum leaping energy, if you like, of kind of breaking through tradition that no longer works for us. I feel that that's probably the best way to put it. It's come out with the celebration card here, but the interesting thing for me with this celebratory card is that she doesn't actually ever know who he is. So I feel that there's a side of this here that is kind of saying that giving our trust on a spiritual level, if you like, to other people has left us kind of blinded by faith in a way. And it's led us down paths that haven't kind of necessarily been very spiritual. More people have suffered due to belief and faith and religion. I would say religion rather than faith or belief. But more people have suffered over what they believe, and still do, continue to do so today, than any other reason, I would say. If you look back in our history, things have been very dark when it comes to this so-called kind of faith or belief in something loving and caring that it's supposed to be, isn't necessarily how it comes out or comes across. And so I feel that there's this kind of, you know, we try to celebrate, we try to kind of come together and celebrate what we know as being something that's good and positive. But at the same time, there's this kind of aspect here that we're not being given all the truth. We're not being, like, things are being held back from us. So there is an element of kind of deceit in this card as well. I kind of feel that with the moon here as well, because the moon can often represent this kind of not always being given the full picture. And we also have the King here of Cups, which is a very emotional energy, very kind of Cancerian, Pisces and Scorpio energy. Water, emotions. Emotions can be very kind of manipulated in a way as well. This is kind of what it's saying to me here, coming out with this energy here, that because we can be very emotional creatures, our emotions can be manipulated and used against us in order to achieve what other people want to achieve. And we have this card here, the Ten of Cups, which is in reverse. So this is the culmination of this kind of celebration here, if you like. And again, it's in reverse. So for me, it's saying that things aren't what they appear. Things are not what they appear at this moment in time, during this full moon energy. And we're going to kind of become more and more aware of this, I feel. We're going to become more aware that things are not what they seem to be. It's very Neptunian. All of this is very Neptunian energy. That this is kind of what we've been told we can achieve, is this kind of happy ever after, this happy ever after ending, but it's in reverse, and we're kind of feeling let down by this whole idea of having to kind of be a certain way when it comes to our relationships. And I just kind of get this really strong feeling with the Hierophant here as well, that this is also about our belief in spirituality and the kind of reunion or the union that we have with our divine partner, our divine higher self as well, which has kind of been denied us in many ways as well. That there, you know, the kind of idea that there is only one solution, there's only one way of reaching this higher happiness, if you like. This marriage, this ritual, which is very much to do with this card here as well. This is very much about ritual as well, because religion is very ritualistic. And down below, at this moment in time, is the Two of Fire. in reverse again. There's a lot of reverse energies here, so there's a lot of things that need to be clearing out or cleared up. Solutions need to be seen and found at this particular time. And the Two of Fire is saying to me that there's an energy here underlying this, if you like, of feeling as though we're kind of wandering on a path that we don't really know where we're going. If you look at the card up the right way, she's kind of sitting on this giraffe, and she's kind of trusting that this giraffe is going to take her to where she needs to go. She's kind of looking very despondent as well. I always get this feeling of this kind of despondency or contemplation maybe today, more than despondency, this contemplation. But there's always this kind of cloud, this haziness, this kind of not seeing things clearly, which especially when it's upside down. And this is what's below. This is our deeper subconscious kind of awareness, if you like. And this is what I was talking about earlier about the, you know, we're aware of something, but we're not quite sure what it is that we're aware of. But because it's in our kind of deeper subconscious, it's like it's going to come up. It's going to rise up into our conscious process. But it's not there yet. It's still kind of below. And it's come out with the Ace of Swords. So the Ace is a new energy. And the Ace is very much for me about the logical mind. It's kind of saying that we need to kind of put some thought. There's a thought process that needs to be put into this. That as we wander along on this path of kind of trusting other people and not really knowing, it's kind of saying to me that it's time to take it into our own hands here, where she's kind of got this sword and she's kind of standing there ready for battle. So there's a process, I feel here, of us kind of feeling this contemplation, and it's now time to, or we have been in this time of contemplation, and it's getting to the time where we're going to need to kind of actually, this could also be the very kind of mercurial energy as well, which we've been talking about, the kind of Virgo, also Mercury itself in Aquarius, which of course is going to reverse back into Pisces, or because it's stationed direct, basically it's gone back through Pisces into Aquarius, and it's stationed direct in Aquarius. It's now going to move forward again through Pisces, where it eventually will come out into the Aries energy. So we're not out of the woods basically yet, and I feel that this is what this is about here as well, that we're still going to be kind of stumbling through, but we will have more direction. Almost like we're suddenly going to wake up from this deep contemplative dream and have more direction and more understanding of where we're heading and why we're heading in that direction. But what's been around for a while and what is moving away, the Five of Water. And with this card, I always get the feeling of sinking. Even if it's up this way, I get this feeling of us sinking, that things are heavy, things are despondent, things are kind of very despairing. And this could actually be the kind of Mercury energy that's been around, and also Neptune in Pisces, and the sun going through Pisces as well, because it's all very watery, it's all very kind of emotional, but on a sense of some level of kind of feeling those emotions, but not necessarily being able to relate them to anything in particular. So you're just kind of having this overwhelming energy of kind of despair and despondency, and kind of this deeper feeling of kind of being pulled down by your emotions, being dragged into your emotions, being kind of smothered by your emotions in some ways as well. It's a very emotional time at the moment, very emotional time with this Neptunian energy that's going on. But we have here the Wheel of Fortune as well, reversed again. And for me, this is about this energy of feeling like we can't escape, feeling like we can't get off this wheel, feeling like it's just, you know, time just keeps turning and we just keep having to go with that flow. That's the general feeling that I'm getting at the moment from this, that this is all about kind of time. That time is kind of running out, that we don't have enough time to do anything anymore, that time is taking over our lives even. That everything's about time. And of course there is that mantra of money is time and time is money. Horrible mantra. Never liked it. Still don't like it. And I think it kind of sums up our kind of capitalist dog eat dog, if you like, society that has kind of grown out of that period of time from the 80s onwards, really. Of where we kind of felt that we no longer had that control over our own lives. And I think that's kind of really when the really big kind of government thing kicked in. And the control being passed on. And the despair, the kind of feeling that we can't do anything about anything. I think there's a lot of that going on at the moment as well in the world. That who are we? Who are we? We're not big players, we're just small fish, we're not important. Why can we make a difference? And it is bringing out this kind of battle within ourselves as well, which I think is quite... I don't know if this is so much Neptunian. This could also have something to do, of course, with our kind of the Neptune virus idea that's out there as well. This kind of being told things are one way. Again, as I was speaking about here with the deception as well, I feel as though there's a lot of deception around at the moment, that things are not necessarily as we believe them to be. But here we are kind of fighting our own dragon, our inner fears, our kind of all those things that stop us from achieving, not believing in ourselves. Venus maybe has a lot to do with this, as I was talking about earlier with the Venus energy in Taurus and conjunction with Uranus, and kind of really making us look at what we value, what do we deserve? Do we deserve better than what we have now? Are we allowed to have better than what we have now? So there could be elements being forced here as well, of kind of doubt, a lot of self-doubt in this card, which has a lot to do with this Neptune energy. Actually, this is the Neptune energy. This is possibly the Venus energy of saying, like, you know, you have to get rid of that self-doubt. You have to stop. You have to stop not believing in yourself. You have to believe that you can create a better future. And this is all energy that's moving away. You also have the card of, for me, the Queen of Pentacles, very much the Taurus energy. And I would say this is literally at the moment Venus in Taurus, because this is all about how we value, what we value, why we value it. And in reverse, it is kind of saying that we feel as though we don't deserve it. we don't feel as though we deserve to have. When it's upright, it's all about abundance. It's all about kind of this kind of really lush greenery and kind of abundance, the way we take care of ourselves, the way we look after ourselves. That could also have something to do with this full moon, the Virgo energy as well, of kind of like, looking after our bodies. Taurus is all about the bodies, the sensuality, the 5 senses. She can also be to do with overindulgence as well, the Taurus energy. So there could also be elements of that as well, kind of overindulging at times to kind of feed our self-doubt. The way that we overcompensate for something. Taurus energy can also be about overcompensating. And in reverse, it will probably be about bringing those energies out. And we also have the Hierophant again, in reverse again. So again, this is saying to me that this is about our lack of belief in ourselves. All of this is about lack of belief in ourselves. That we're worthy, that we're capable, that we can, that we should. Why should we believe in ourselves? Why should we have knowledge about ourselves? Because the Hierophant is also about knowledge. It's also about study, which is why I also like to think of it more as a Sagittarius energy. About non-conventional knowledge as well. To do with more kind of esoteric, more alternative things. The Hierophant, non-conventional. And we have the Devil card as well in reverse. So this is about battling our fears. This is about us being held down by the past as well, I feel, which is also this card here. I feel very much that a lot of this is about the Capricornian energy of being held down by the past and kind of restriction of time, which is our challenge at the moment, is to move beyond the restriction of time and take control. Take back our power, if you like, as well, because here the Devil has got hold of these two and they are dancing to his tune. And in many ways we have danced to the tune of other people for so long now, which I think is what this Hierophant card for me is saying as well, is that there's a need for us to kind of awaken to our own inner tune, our own voice, and listen to ourselves on a deeper level. Tune into our own frequencies and our own vibration with the universe. And stop relying on other people to tell us what is and what isn't spiritual. Take it back. So, as we move forward, we have the 3 of Earth, and the 3 of Earth is a feeling of kind of, in reverse again, a feeling of blending or being stuck. This stuckness, because here she kind of feels like she's become part of the scenery, part of the earth itself. It's like she's been there for so long. It's like she's looking, if you see, she's kind of got her hand up and she's looking to the future, but it's in reverse. So again, there's this feeling of kind of the energy has been stuck for so long that she's literally become embedded in the ground. She's literally become kind of this, like when something arrives, because it's in reverse, when something actually arrives as she's looking into her future, when it arrives, when it gets there, she can't do anything about it because she is embedded in the past. That's the feeling that I'm getting from this here. It's almost, again, kind of like a cocoon type energy as well. And we have with it the Ten of Pentacles and the Judgment card. So the Ten of Pentacles, or Ten of Earth, is what she's looking for. It's what we're all kind of wanting. It's like it's kind of the culmination, the ultimate kind of feeling of success, of achievement, of things that we've kind of managed to grow in our lives, if you like. The energy, the time, again, time that we've put into things. Time being a really major kind of element with this reading today, I feel for some reason it's all about time, all about time. Maybe it's also about divine time as well, that everything happens within the divine time and that we can't kind of rush things until they're ready. And this could also have something to do with this Page of Pentacles here as well, like not wanting to force ourselves to grow up in a way, or take responsibilities in a way, until the divine time is ready. And the divine time is only ready when the wheel turns and the planets shift and things move and change. So that's what this card is saying for me here. And we have the Judgment card that's come out with this as well. So this is kind of about divine time as well, but also about letting go of that past. Letting go. We have to let go of the past, otherwise we're going to stay stuck in it. And we don't want to stay stuck in it, otherwise we won't grow. These figures down here literally represent situations from our past. They're ghosts of the past that are being called up to rise here by Hermes. But the only reason they're being called up to rise is so that they can be released, so they can be let go. We don't want to kind of haul all this baggage, which is basically what it represents. Situations that have happened to us in the past that keep dragging us back into the past. It's down the steps, so it's very much an inner thing. If you see here, the garden's there, so this is kind of the world outside. This is the inner world that we have to clear out in order to move forward. And I feel that this is kind of a bit like the Pluto energy, where I was saying about the plug being released and the kind of heaviness being lifted. Pluto Jupiter energy of shifting that boat. But once we release all this stuff here, we can shift the boat, which at the moment is kind of stuck here with the 3 of Earth and the 10. Here is what we've reached this culmination. The 10 is always an ending, so we've reached this point where we have to kind of release all our past, all of it, which can also be genetically as well, as in ancestrally, family history, as well as just our own individual life up to date. And this is what I think this is about, actually, is this kind of like family legacy stuff that we hold on to, and stuff that, again, to do with tradition, to do with kind of, you know, my parents did it, therefore I've got to do it as well. That kind of belief, that kind of tradition, that kind of family, going back generations and generations. Where is it that keeping us stuck in the past? And like I was saying, going back to the kind of 500 years of when Saturn and Pluto last met, kind of writing in stone, if you like, because that's basically what they do, is they kind of rewrite as they break things down, at the same time as that kind of breaking down of the past. So what would have happened was that when Saturn and Pluto came together last time, it was actually when religion was being, so religion being this card here, was actually being questioned by by Martin Luther in Germany when he wrote his, I think it was 100 Theses that he nailed to a door in a church in Germany. And that kind of, well, that kind of changed the whole of history, because it brought forward the idea of divorce, especially, and Henry VIII managed to divorce his wife, and that kind of changed history again, and dissolution of the monasteries again, more kind of change in history. So that's kind of, it's all connected. All of it is connected, even though we don't realise or understand how deeply we're still affected by all of this stuff. We are. And I feel that that's what that energy is about there. So I'm going to quickly move on, because this is becoming very long. And we have the Wheel of Fortune again. So again in reverse. This is the energy of where we're at the moment. And again, like I was saying, divine timing. We need to wait for the divine timing to be right for us to shift things. That one came out reversed as well. Reverse. Yeah, they are both reversed. They're just different writing at different places. So with this card here, it just come out with the Page of Wands, which is all about moving away from a situation. This again to me is about timing. This is about things shifting and us kind of taking the opportunity, if you like, to like grasping this this new creative idea which is coming up, and actually running with it, actually doing something with it, actually kind of saying, okay, so that was how it has been, but that doesn't mean that that's how it's going to always be. I can do something with this. I can change it. It's a page, so it's a new energy, or a young energy. It's an energy that can be brought into maturity. It's creativity, it's movement, it's change. It's the sun is rising in the background here, and he's kind of lighting his way into a new future. He's leaving the past behind, which is kind of similar to this energy here. Are you kidding me? Sorry about that. I've just discovered that I didn't put my phone on charge like I always do when I'm doing my reading, but I haven't done a reading for so long, so I kind of forgot to do it. Right, where was I? Talking about this energy here and the past and moving forward. So as we're moving forward with these energies here, which are both very creative energies. Again, we have this energy of creativity, and I've lost my cards, so give me 2 seconds to catch up with myself. I seem to have totally lost them somewhere. Where did I put them? This is apologise for being so very untogether at this moment in time. There they are. I put them down. Here we go. So with these energies here, this shifting, this moving, this things being stuck here with this Wheel of Fortune, when it's in reverse, I always see it as a kind of stuck energy of things not moving in the way that they should be moving. And things kind of needing to to be given the time, if you like, but this is about forward motion. And so I just wanted to check there that I was still actually recording. I am, so we'll keep going. This energy here, like I was saying, is all very creative. There's a real creative drive here. We have this energy, the 8 of fire, which this time is up the right way. It appeared earlier with this card here, which was the energy that was very stuck. And for me, this card always kind of talks about blazing a new trail. If you see here, these little far lights here, whatever they are, fireflies, I kind of think of them as a trail that's being left behind, is kind of blazing a new trail, even though it's kind of on a very slow panda. But pandas are quite unique animals as well, so I kind of get the feeling of it being something that's new, different, not common, because they're a rare creature, pandas, and they also kind of have very specific diets and things, so they're kind of very what's the word here? What I'm kind of trying to say is that they're kind of very, in a way they're kind of traditional, but in another way they're kind of very unique and rare, and that's what I get the feeling that this is about. It's about something that's different, unique, and put it into kind of Uranus terms, in the sense of or Aquarian energy, of moving forward into more of an Aquarius type of things being connected. So there's going to be a more like these connections, new connections, I feel, are coming in for all of us. Creative connections, meeting people who are going to be more of the same mind, of the same ideas, of the same way of looking at life, who haven't necessarily been able to express themselves in a way that they would have liked to have been able to express themselves, because with the Ace of Wands coming out here as well, this is a new energy, and this is very creative, this is very fiery, very passionate. This is about kind of being fully I kind of want to say being fully in love with what you're doing, kind of really driven by it. Really, again, it's kind of that energy of the more you love it so much, the more you want to do it. You want to just keep doing it. You want to kind of, keep that enjoyment, because the enjoyment is what drives you to do it. It's not because you feel as though it's necessary to do it, or that it's something that has to be done. It's more to do with the enjoyment behind it. It's more to do with the passion behind it. The fiery kind of creativity, the drive. So there's quite a lot of fiery energy that we're going to be kind of moving into, this new creative blazing, again, this trailblazing, this kind of new way of coming together. And I kind of get the feeling of community here as well, for some reason, kind of new way of community, working together in smaller groups of people. But this is all coming in for our future at some point. This is how other people are seeing the energies at the moment. There's a lot of passion here, driven by passion. And we have, in our hopes and our fears, we have the Queen of Air. The the kind of logical thinking process again in reverse. This could have a lot to do with our kind of solutions, but because it's in reverse as well, it's a hopes and a fears. It's not something that's actuality. The owl for me always represents wisdom. It's an Athene bird. It's a bird of Athene, and she kind of represents the Athene energy as well, the kind of strategist, kind of very perceptive. Athene always knew how to out strategize anybody on a battlefield. Very perceptive, very clear thinking, very kind of very, yeah, that kind of mercurial, logical mind, quick moving energy as well. But because it's in reverse, I get the feeling that it's kind of, we feel on some level that our minds are kind of, in some ways, getting in the way. Getting in the way. And we need to trust our kind of knowing, our instincts. Owls are very instinctual animals as well. Owls always close their eyes when they kill as well. There's something about an owl that it will never keep its eyes open. At that moment of killing something, it will always shut its eyes. So maybe there's also something there about us kind of not wanting to look too deeply at things. But we also have the Nine of Cups come out here. This is our hopes and our fears. So these aren't actualities, but these are things that we can kind of bring into reality. And the hopes and the fears with the Nine of Cups is about reunion. And we're looking to, I feel again, to do with this kind of community energy rather than this being on a individual basis. I feel that this is more, although on an individual basis it could also work in the sense of a new way of coming together with our relationships, but I also feel that this is about community again and the building of love and trust within those communities. Because we have the World card come out with this as well. And this is really what we're all wanting. In many ways, it kind of represents these two energies here, the masculine and the feminine, the divine masculine and the divine feminine working together as one whole within each person. And then kind of the divine masculine and the divine feminine individually coming together to make something whole and complete. Beginnings and endings. The rings always represent a kind of ending as well as a beginning, because the snake has his own tail in his mouth here, and so it's a complete cycle. And there's also something about this energy here as well, with this 10 that came out earlier in our heads, and what we're aware of is the fact that things aren't always what they appear or what they seem to be. And we're also, of course, having to deal a lot more with this kind of distortion of the masculine and the feminine. There's a lot more of that going on at the moment. These feelings of distortion and not being happy with who we are, and being told that if we're not one thing, then we have to become something else. But with the sun here as well, with the world and the sun here, it's like we do see that we can have like a happy ending, if you like, because the sun for me always represents this kind of joyful, clear understanding, illumination, Apollo in the Greek, which is who this is, the sun god Apollo, was very much to do with the arts and the kind of higher mind of understanding things, if you like. Music. He was a great archer, and this arch here for me always represents kind of a moving out of one period of time and into another period of time, like moving underneath. As you walk underneath the arch, you literally leave one kind of side behind and move into another future. And so I feel that deep down in our kind of hopes and our fears, this is what we want, this is what we're aiming for. We are aiming for a wholeness within all of us. We're aiming for a kind of understanding. But I feel as well with the Hierophants, both of these Hierophants in reverse here, that we're kind of not aware of the spiritual wholeness so much, as we kind of feel as though there's a different way, or there's a more materialistic, shall we say, a view of wholeness rather than a spiritual view here, and kind of disjointedness with this card here as well, of our spiritual feminine and divine energies. And at this moment of time as well, Venus and Mars are not connecting very well. They're both off on their own journeys, doing their own thing, due to the fact that they squared up quite recently. But I do get the feeling that there is going to be kind of, we believe that we can have a new beginning. We believe that we can have something that's much better than what we've had so far over these last 500 years. We do believe on a deeper subconscious level as well that there is something else. But it is a subconscious level at this moment in time, because it's only a hope and a fear. It's not a reality yet. And we have the Justice card that's come out in the placement of kind of outcome, if you like, although nothing is ever written in stone. The Justice card in reverse is saying that we at this present time do feel as though things are not working out for us, and that things have been very unfair for us. The sword here as well, the sword of truth that she's holding there, which is kind of illuminated, which is kind of also this clarity, this insight, this understanding which we are looking for and seeking within ourselves as well. If you hold it up the right way, you can see that she's got the scales here for balance as well. This energy is represented by Libra, harmony, balance, harmony, masculine, feminine, kind of bringing things into balance. But because it's upside down, it's in reverse here, it's kind of saying that things are out of balance, and we need to kind of take a good long look at this, the reasons why things are so out of balance, what is causing that imbalance. And we have the Seven of Cups in reverse as well. So Seven of Cups is about confusion. It's also about a lot of opportunities, a lot of choices, and not necessarily being able to focus our attention on what we really want here as well. It could also, for me, represent that materialistic world as well, in the sense of we believe that we're going to find what we want within, or our happiness, if you like, within this boundary of stuff, of whatever's within these cups. But it doesn't necessarily always work out that way, and that's kind of something else as well here with this Justice card, that maybe we're kind of feeling what's the word, it kind of came into my mind and left again, and kind of not despondent, but yeah, kind of let down, that we've been tricked, that there's trickery going on here as well, which could have something to do with this devil here, this dancing devil energy, that we've been tricked into giving our belief in our happiness away. And we also have another 7, which is the 7 of Wands. And the 7 of Wands is about battling, standing up for what we believe in, what it is that we actually want, which doesn't necessarily have to be this here. This is fighting other people's beliefs. This is fighting other people's ideas, views, opinions of how things should be and why they should be that way. This for me represents a kind of a separation of two ways of looking at things, if you like. The divide between what's right and what's wrong. Battling for what you believe is true, battling for what you believe is the right way to do things. Standing up for our beliefs, this card. And it comes out last of card here is the Fool. And the Fool is about a leap of faith. A leap of faith into something new, a leap of faith into something that has of yet to be created, which is possibly what this energy here is about as well. Something that is in the making, is being created, but we haven't actually kind of brought it into reality yet, which is also this energy here. And these two cards are very much the same as well, with the Magician who manifests and Judgment cards. So here this is Mercury, literally Mercury here, Hermes, the Judgment card, and there he is in his kind of lower form as the Magician. This is his higher energy as Mercury, messenger of the gods. And so I think what it's saying is that in order for us to reach this place of something, or this leap of faith, for us to take this leap of faith, we have to let go of our baggage and learn to manifest in a different way. And to really kind of look at what it is that we are wanting to manifest, what it is that's going to make us whole and happy. And that this, for me, this card here for me represents kind of the battle of wills from the last kind of 500 years, shall we say, of having to kind of really turn things around, to completely like steer that ship in a different direction. That's what this card here for me is saying. And if we do so, then this is the result, if you like. This is our future. This new kind of... Again, there's this kind of gateway here as well. You can see it very well in this light, but there is this kind of gateway behind this angelic fairy kind of creature here, who's calling us into this new future, this new gateway, this kind of... almost to me like a stargate in some ways. Something that's opening up, but we can't see yet what it is that is being shown to us, because we're not at that place of trusting enough to take that leap yet. But this is what's the last card in the future. And this, I feel, is what I was talking about earlier, about turning that ship around and steering it into a brighter future, something that we can create as we go along day to day. You can get a better view of that now, this kind of energy that's coming out from this full trumpet, the call is kind of creating this doorway here. And this is a 0 card, so this is very much to do with this energy here as well, because this full comes after the world is complete. The full comes after we've reached the end of the cycle. And we are reaching the end of the cycle very shortly. At the end of this year, when Saturn and Jupiter meet up in Aquarius at 0 degrees, in December, I think it's December the 21st, this is the new beginning. This is the new start of the new world, if you like. And this is what this energy is about here. So I just quickly want to read to you the Moonology card, which today is literally the Virgo full moon. I just thought I would give you a quick read of what the moon is all about here. And it's saying literally, you are good enough. You are good enough. Which I feel is very strongly coming through in the reading itself. There's the trust that we have to put in ourselves. So it says it's time to be really honest with yourself and understand what's led you to ask your question. Have you been humble to the point of being self-effacing, which is Venus in Taurus energy in some ways. Humility is good, but it can go too far, and drawing this card suggests you may be underrating yourself. You don't have to be flash, just quietly certain that you are good enough. At the other end of the scale, you also need to honestly answer this question. Have you been too picky? The full moon in Virgo card needs some truthful answers. Once you've given them, it should be easier to see how you got where you are. Your next step should then be more obvious to you. Pay attention to the details. Hard work brings results. Attuned to the moon, find a balance between the cosmic and the mundane in your daily life. Additional meanings for this card. Worrying too much will attract more things to worry about. Have you been overly critical? An apology may be in order. Stop second guessing yourself. Raise your karma by doing something good for someone else. And the teaching is the full moon in Virgo is a time to declutter your life, your home and your office. That's what this card is here. Decluttering your life, clearing out the ghosts from the past. It's the time to sort what's good in your life from what's not serving you. It's also the time to clear out your energies via salt baths and meditations, and to practice getting more grounded by walking barefoot. No matter when you draw this card, it's a reminder that any time is a good time to start living a healthier life. And this could also be what the barefoot energy is about as well, because he is literally walking barefooted on the soil there as well. So maybe this is also about reconnecting with the earth energy, which we need to do, and we haven't been. We are very disconnected from earth energy. Maybe that's also what this card is saying at the very beginning of the reading. So, this is a very long reading, but I haven't done a reading for a long time, so I thought I would do a complete reading here. And the card that you have for your Crystal Diva card today for the collective is this wonderful crystal here called Zincite, card number 44, and it's all about sensuality. And it works with the sacral chakra, and its colour is deep orange, red and light orange. And it says, Sensuality can be a physical, emotional, or spiritual experience. A bite of your favourite chocolate pie, a beautiful voice singing, the ocean's warm waves lapping at your legs, your cat's purr, walking barefoot on cool grass. Something about that today. Sipping a lemonade, the texture of velvet, a massage, the smell of popcorn, holding hands, union with the divine. One of the most delightful ways to explore the realm of sensuality is through sex. However, sex appears to be a troublesome area. Many humans are confused about whether sexual pleasure is good or bad. Society's messages are mixed on this issue too, which could also have something to do with this card here as well, because the devil has a lot to do with our view on sex as well, and how we see it as something dark and kind of, as I was saying, also the Black Moon Lilith energy as well, which is very strong in this card. The demoness energy, the kind of succubus, the female who wants to just suck you dry and leave you in a withered state of being. Movies, TVs, books and music are filled with sexual erotica. Sexual exploitation sells toothpaste, cars and computers. Humans learn more about the dance of sensuality from the media than from their own instincts. By all appearances, your world seems very sexually orientated. And yet many of your religious institutions, which again is the, I've lost them now, the two Hierophant cards that were around earlier. Here we go. Teach that sex is an act of functionality, intended primarily to populate the planet with more like-minded humans, thereby perpetuating particular belief systems. They neglect to discuss or endorse its pleasurable sensations. In many cultures, you have been taught that when you give in to your sexual instincts, you revert to degenerate behaviour. Sensuality implies a loss of control and therefore must be bad. Many of you who are well adjusted and sexually active may still have some unconscious hang-ups about sex. Is feeling pleasure hedonistic, immoral and depraved? Or is it blissful, ecstatic and sacred? Some of your past programming affects your enjoyment of sex. Very much what this reading has been about past programming and this kind of keeping us stuck in this past way, this time holding us back, keeping us in this place 500 years ago. And she's kind of looking into the past, I feel still. And she kind of has a sensuality about her as well. The way that she's kind of holding her robe around her. Regardless of what anyone tells you, the major purpose of sex is not to make babies. Sex was designed to give you pleasure. If all the great creator wanted was for humans to procreate, the most boring clinical methods would have been worked just as well. Instead, sexual pleasure is intended as an explosion of the senses. It blends anticipation, excitement and euphoria with intimacy. Sexual fulfillment is a divine gift. It replicates on the physical plane the joy of ultimate union with the universe. It is the feeling of losing yourself and finding yourself both at the same moment. Sensuality is designed to create a greater sense of self-awareness. Unfortunately, some of you have had negative experiences with sex, making the accompanying physical pleasure seem obscene. If you felt pleasure in those instances, you are not a bad person. Your body's response and the psychological or emotional trauma you endured operate separately. You are sensing the natural instrumentation of your body. It is programmed to elicit pleasurable feelings during sexual activity. Or your problem may be just the opposite. Perhaps you have linked your current sexual activity with past unpleasant incidents. If so, you may not be experiencing pleasure at all. Look at your present situation and determine whether it works for your highest good or not. If it does not, get out of it. If it does, recognize that the past experience and the present one are not the same. Appreciate the new one for what it is, and if possible, try to let go of the other. If you need more clarity or support, seek professional help. Remember that you celebrate your life and yourself when you feel pleasure, which is kind of what I was saying earlier about the wanting more of something because it feels really good. So it's that pleasure side that we seek. If you have drawn this card, take a look at how much sensuality and pleasure you are allowing into your life. Pleasure is part of the joy of life, waiting to share itself with you. So that's interesting because that kind of represents for me the Venus energy of what do we or don't allow into our lives, what do we and don't we allow ourselves to receive or to fully feel or value. So, and of course Venus and Taurus are very sensual. Taurus is probably the most sensual of all the signs of the zodiac because it rules the five senses. And Taurus loves luxury and indulgence and opulence, and kind of Taurus energy has come out here as well with us kind of not allowing ourselves to feel that sensuality and that sexuality. And also I would just say as well very briefly that Virgo, because Virgo is very clinical and has this kind of very I would say staid way of looking at things, Virgo can find the idea of sex to be very kind of messy and kind of very too earthy, shall we say, or too out of control, because that's another thing that Virgo likes to have is control. So sex can be something for Virgos that can feel like they've lost control, so they kind of keep a lid on it in many ways. And because it's the full moon as well, it could also be the energy that's being represented here as well, is kind of that control of trying to control our feelings and our expressions and our kind of sensual world as well. That could well have something to do with it. That may be why that card has come up as well. But if you're at all interested, the energy, or sorry, the card itself, the crystal, again, is zincite, and it works with the sacral chakra. Get it right, Colette. Stop trying to join two words together, which is what I do quite a bit, especially when Mercury's retrograde or station direct. I do like to put words together that kind of just make up one new word. So zincite might be something that you might want to find yourself a piece of. I don't know how easy it is to get hold of, but it may help with those of you who may have sexual hang-ups or problems or things that have happened to you in the past that haven't allowed you to release those sexual exploration energies, shall we say. Because the Judgment card is all about kind of letting go of all those kind of baggages, those things that we don't need, but you may, like it said, need professional help in order to get beyond that. So the very last card I'm going to read here, the Namaste Blessing card, is this beautiful card which I've never seen before. This is the first time I've ever seen this card. And again, to me, it looks like it's kind of stuck. It's a feminine energy. Virgo is a feminine energy. And it kind of looks like a stuck person. But it says it's a blessing woven in time, which again, time, I was talking about that being a major part of this reading today. The present circumstances are guiding you to a sacred space inside you, from where you will see things more clearly. Look through the eye of the soul and you will find the answer. This card is a blessing woven in time. The time will soon come, which is very much to do with this. And I was talking about sacred time as well, divine timing, how things happen in divine timing. And if we're not ready for it, then it is best not to try and force the issue of things to happen. Also this energy here as well, kind of holding things back and not making things happen before the right time. So those are the messages. I'll just kind of quickly show you that card again and let you have a look at the Namaste blessing message there. And those are your messages for today, for the full moon, super full moon in Virgo, which has taken place today. So I'm going to try and get this reading out. It's now over 2 hours long, so it may take me a while. Thank you very much for anybody who has subscribed to my channel. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please could you do so, as I'm trying to grow it in 2020 and get my messages out there, because I don't think that my messages are the norm. And also, could you please tap the bell to receive any future videos that I will be putting out there. And like it up for me, thumbs it up, because that also helps it get out into the bigger, wide audience of the YouTube world. You can tell I haven't done this in a while. I'm all kind of in my head. Mercury kind of retro has really thrown me for the last 2 weeks. And also there will be a link in the description box down below for anybody who wants to check out their own kind of natal chart and see what's happening with their own astrology, with the houses, and also if you don't know your placements for signs as well. It'll help to give you a bigger understanding of astrology and how it works, putting it all together, and to also be able to kind of see what's happening in the world in a bigger picture perspective as well. So my email for anybody who might like to have a personal private reading with me, because this is a collective reading, and the readings that I do for other zodiac signs, which I will be starting up again shortly, will also be more general than they are going to be personal or private. So if you're interested, my email is in the description box down below as well. So please take care, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.